大家好，欢迎来到我的频道。Welcome everyone. Today we have a great guest today, Ben 老师, teacher Ben from his channel. He's a Chinese teacher who's been teaching for 10 years now, I think, and is a very innovative
11
teacher.
years.
11 years, wow.
Yes.
Wow. Very special guest. Thank you for joining the podcast, Ben.
Thank you for the invitation. Yeah.
We just had an awesome live stream at Ben's podcast or Ben's channel. So if you guys are interested, you can check out Ben's channel. We had a live stream in Chinese, and Ben also has a lot of very great learning material for Chinese learners.
So it was a live test for Daniel's Chinese level.
Did I pass?
You can check it out. Yes, definitely.
Wow,
when we just started, you were like, "Ooh, shooting so many phrases, so good."
Wow. Oh, okay, good. I was so nervous.
Okay. You did wonderful. I was in my heart. I was thinking, maybe a little bit slower so that my audience can get what you can fully understand you. But very fast, very fluently, everything perfect.
Wow. Thanks, Ben. So, are you able to give the audience like a basic self-introduction and tell everyone your story a little bit?
Yes, no problem. So, hello everyone, I'm Ben, and I have been an online Chinese teacher for 11 years. I'm from Northeast China, and I'm currently living in Madrid, Spain. And I have lived in United States and Beijing and Tianjin for many years. Wow. And yes, and now I'm recently became influencer. So subscribe my channel, Chinese with Ben.
Yeah, you guys have to subscribe. It's really good. Lots of great videos. Wow, so many questions I want to ask you. I feel like you have a very fascinating story because you lived in many different places. I personally also really like traveling, so I'm just curious, like,
Great.
what made you want to move to Spain and learn Spanish? I think you speak Spanish, right?
Yes, because actually my language learning journey quite interesting because whenever I want to learn a language, and I know that I'm a person super lazy, so I need something to force me to study. So that's why I applied school in United States, a master degree, just to learn English. And then I applied a school in Spain just to do a master in Spanish to give me a target to study.
Wow.
So my job is teaching Chinese online, so I don't really need to worry about where I live. So it's a big advantage for me to move around.
So interesting. So why did you pick English and Spanish? Like what was it about those languages that attracted you?
English is just the influence from my classmates at school, and it's like everyone is studying English. Like I don't know why, I just feel I should do whatever other people does. So I just start my English journey, and then in college I have a lot of foreigner teachers, and then in the beginning, I was study English for going to a good college. But once I have those teachers helping me, and it start to intrigue my interest to learn this language. So I really enjoy having conversation with them they help me open a new side to know different stories of the different places in the world. So it's like, I want to study.
Wow. And then for me personally, like I have a goal, like I have a dream, like after Chinese, I want to move to Spain and learn Spanish. So like very similar to you. So I'm very curious, like where did your interest with Spanish come from?
Because I did my master in Miami, Florida,
Okay.
and then only in the university everyone speaks English, and outside of the campus, everywhere everyone is speaking Spanish.
Wow.
So after I graduated, when I see the Facebook page of my classmates, I don't understand nothing. So therefore, I really want to learn Spanish, try to communicate with them to understand them better. So
Wow. Okay. Interesting. So when you pick your master's or your graduate program, are they related to language learning, or is it completely different? Or
uh, because my purpose is to learn the language, and I know if I choose something too difficult, it will be hard to graduate or finish. So I purposely chose something that easy to understand. Like my English major was international business, and
right.
my Spanish major is tourism.
Wow. So
So
interesting.
so it's something that I don't think is so difficult to understand. The reading, listening should be more easy.
So interesting. Because, like, I think a lot of people would be maybe
mm,
nervous to go to a new country, not only
mm,
go to a new country, but to go
mm,
to graduate school. Like, it seems like a very
yeah.
daunting, scary task. So, did you,
hmm
before you
mm,
went to the new country, did you learn a little
yes.
bit beforehand, or did you,
Mm.
what kind of preparation did you do?
Yes, exactly. I went to, before I came to Spain, I went to the Institute Cervantes, which is like a official organization to teach Spanish. So every weekend I go to Cervantes to learn Spanish, 10 hours each weekend.
Wow.
Uh, so before I came to Spain, I passed B2 level. Oh, sorry, no, B1 level, and which is enough for me to apply the long-term visa in Spain.
Wow. B2 level. That's like upper
B1,
intermediate.
B1,
Oh, sorry, B1.
B1.
Okay.
Mm,
Okay, interesting.
mm,
Wow. So you had a little bit of a foundation,
mm,
um, and then later you went to Spain. And what do you think? I'm just
mm,
curious. Like, what do you think was the
mm.
biggest thing that helped you improve your Spanish and your English with?
Spanish.
Yeah.
Uh, it's mm, it's just for example, when I turn on the TV, I just feel that the TV program is so different from what I see in China. For example, there's a very popular dating show called The First Date. And in this show, every day you can see two people, maybe they are gay, lesbian, transgender, or who are the people who can fall in love with many people, have many relations at the same time, which is a kind not, I won't see this kind of program in China because we don't have this. So it's like, wow, so many things on TV. And so, so it's intrigued me and I want to know what they are talking about. And so that's why I pay a lot of attention and start to check and learn, write down what they say. And it's kind of interesting.
It's so interesting because that's the
Mm,
main reason why I find
mm,
Chinese so interesting is because I had a
mm,
little bit of exposure to Chinese culture
mm-hmm.
from my parents, but I
Yes.
grew up in Canada, but then
Uh,
I always was fascinated by Chinese culture.
mm,
And so I wanted to learn
mm-hmm.
more. And so
Yes.
I wanted to be able to
Uh,
understand like the TV and the podcast and
yes.
how people think. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
very similar to you. I love like just understanding
Uh-huh.
other cultures, and that's what
It's
motivates
like
me
a
to learn.
culture shock.
Yeah.
Like wow. For example, I don't know if you know the show Love Island. So
Oh no.
people change couple and uh
Oh, like
yes, and
they switch couples or
no,
like they.
not Love Island. It's Isla de Tentaciones 是这种诱惑岛。
诱惑的 like
uh, mm,
what's yo okay it's like
it's like
attraction
to seduce.
seduce yeah
Yes. So it's
oh
like a five couples. They go to an island and then they separate the couple and then they bring in a lot of supermodels, try to let the boyfriend or girlfriend to cheat on their couple. So it's like, am I allowed to watch this on TV?
wow it's so scandalous
Yeah.
it's so interesting
Yeah,
wow okay
it's just cultural shock.
yeah
Yes.
sorry I went off topic a little bit but I was just so curious about your story but I can ask
No
you
worry.
more questions related to Chinese
Okay.
so I'm interested like because you've been teaching Chinese for so long like what made you interested in wanting to teach Chinese initially
Uh, it's by fate. It's not what I decided to do in the beginning because, as you know, I was learning international business. So after I graduated, I have 1 year of working visa, and then I applied a job in Washington D.C. as like a manager in a bank. But the recruit process took so long. There are many rounds of interviews. At the same time, I don't want to go DC for nothing. So I also applied other job opportunities in DC, and then which include the like language centers because they have many language centers. They have a contract with the government. So some diplomats will go to those centers to study Chinese.
oh okay
And then I was balancing, okay, on one hand, I have to make everyone happy to buy some financial products. On the other hand, I can teach diplomats. So I'm like, I will go with the way that sounds more fun and interesting. And
right
once I started, I did it all the way till now.
interesting wow
Mm,
so do you think like
mm,
because you've been teaching so long I know
mm,
right now you teach in a very
yeah.
innovative way like you teach using TPRS and you use AI to help teach students maybe
Mm,
if you want you can maybe give a little brief introduction to the way you teach because I think
yes.
it's very interesting and I think I've heard of TPRS in the past
Mm,
before from like
yes.
from different videos and I think it's a very good way of learning I don't know
Yes.
if you can tell us about it
So TPRS is short for Total Physical Response Storytelling, but I don't do the storytelling. I just do the TPR because because I feel the storytelling is more too structured, too standard. But in my class, I want the students to give me some to talk something more meaningful, more related to their life. So I just use a lot of hand gesture, facial expressions, or some cards like this.
oh okay
And but if I just do TPR, it will be really hard to keep notes for the student to review after class because what we cover in class could be very dynamic and hard to predict. So that's why I started to bring in the AI technology, the artificial intelligence, because the AI system, while I am teaching a class, at the same time, I can record the key sentences from the class. And then right after the class, wait for a few minutes, the AI system will generate a class review with all the key vocabularies, my voice recording and audio, video, everything for each sentence. And then it will also automatically make the listening, reading exercise for the student to learn the characters for themselves. So it's a because I really value high efficiency. So I
Right.
feel put these two together is really helpful to especially to the beginner and the intermediate students. Mm.
Wow, that's so interesting. It seems like a very like
Mm.
advanced way to teach students. I think you're the first teacher that I've heard use AI to teach. It's so interesting.
Yeah, if you want to try one day, we can do
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Mm,
But I'm curious,
mm,
like how where did you get the
mm,
idea to teach like this? Like,
mm.
did you when you were learning English and Spanish, did you learn through
Yes.
TPR or was this something that you discovered later?
Uh, it's my first job was at first language center was at Belize, Belize.
Oh,
So that company gave me a very comprehensive training for teaching the students. It's not called the TPR, but it's very similar. I have to like completely using Chinese to teach Chinese,
mm,
even
okay,
though this person is like a total beginner, and I feel very comfortable to start teaching
right.
use TPR method from the very first class. And but later on, I changed to another center. It's more systematic with like a very good structure to teach the lesson, and which these two methods like together help me a lot to try to balance and take the good things from both methods and then doing my own style. And
Mm,
yeah,
okay, interesting. So,
it's yeah.
oh, no, were you gonna say something? Sorry.
No, no, no. It's just different student have a different way. Because if I just do TPR, maybe this student doesn't understand nothing. Like, teacher, what are you doing?
Right,
I don't understand what you try to tell me. But
right.
for other students, they prefer like a very structured lesson. I explain everything in English. I write down everything. So it's so the method TPR with AI maybe not a method for everyone, but it's helpful.
Right. Okay. Interesting. So it really
Mm.
depends on the students. Depends on their maybe their learning style, like
Yes,
what
yes,
how they maybe some
exactly.
people function better or respond better to TPR.
Yeah,
Interesting.
from my side, I will maybe get ready, prepared like maybe 10 methods. Then a student find me, I will try to talk to the student to analyze a little bit, and then my class is very dynamic. I will like after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I see the students' reaction to this method not very good, then I maybe change my plan during the lesson. It's more
Interesting.
so it's
Whoa. Very customized, very
yeah, very
personalized.
yes. It's like I like to observe how the student react to each method. So when
Right.
the student show me some positive sign, like their tone or the face will change, then I know, okay, this is the right method for this student.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm,
And then I know, Ben. So you also make a lot of really great
mm,
videos on your channel. Like, I'm curious
mm,
because I've heard in the past that you've been thinking about making YouTube
mm,
videos for a while, but you started
mm,
recently. Like, what made you interested or
mm,
want to make videos, and how do you think or maybe I'll ask
mm.
you that first. Like, what made you interested in starting a YouTube channel?
uh, it's I'm very passionate about teaching Chinese, but after 10 or 11 years, I just feel like every class I can predict the how the class will go. So I'm kind of know the situation too well. I feel that something is missing. I need more excitement to do something different.
So
I don't worry about the students. I have many students, but I want to try something new to make me feel excited. And then I found that I just found that on the platforms I'm working, some teachers already left and they become super popular teachers on YouTube or on Instagram.
Yeah.
Then I was thinking maybe it's time I should do similar things. It should be something very challenging.
Right.
I have the experience, but how will I'm able to become an influencer on like so I think okay, let me just try it.
I think you're making some great progress. I mean, you're putting out some very informative content, very resourceful. I think the live streams that you do with Li Chao Lao, like teacher Richard, like so good. Like
I'm still exploring. If you see my channel, it's a little bit messy. I'm trying to put all types of contents. It's just something pop up in my head. I just make a video. So I need to be more structure for my channel. But for now, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Just keep posting and see how it goes.
I think that's totally reasonable because I mean you have a wealth of experience, but you may be new to YouTube, but definitely you have to explore
still
first.
Learning.
Yeah, you still have to explore first, and then maybe you'll find the type of videos that work best for you.
Yeah.
So I'm curious because I have a lot of like other maybe like followers or people who watch the YouTube videos. Like they ask me what are common mistakes for beginners, and I had a question from Bianca Learns. She also asked like, what do you think are the most common pitfalls with Lao Wai Koying? What are the most common pronunciation mistakes that learners make, and how can we combat them to improve?
Yeah, it's like what I mentioned in our live streaming. I found most of my students pay too much focus on the individual pinyin and the four tones, especially with the four tones. Each individual pinyin, my students pronounced very well, but when you put them together, it's very unnatural and robotic sounding.
Okay.
So for example, my students sometimes they read me a passage like 我今天很想看电视，老师你给我一些介绍。It's good. Each individual pinyin is perfect, but when put together in the beginning, when I concentrate, I understand everything, but with the same rhythm, like one by one, each character sound with the same length, I lost the track easily, and it's just not right when you put them together. So we need some. We need the right pass, the right pitch, the right rhythm, the right stress to make the listener understand the meaning better.
Right.
So that's a common, I don't say it's a mistake, but it's completely natural to learn the individual pinyin four tones in the beginning. But when the students are progressing, they should try to adapt to the real life speech.
And so do you, that's something that I've noticed with myself too. And it's very, very difficult. Do you have any recommendations? Like, do you think that maybe students should just listen more to native speakers, or like try to imitate them as much as possible? Or what would be your recommendation?
For example, I always recommend my students, no matter they are listening to the audios from a textbook or from when they watch a Chinese TV show series, I suggest them to listen 4 times. So many people just listen to 1 time to make sure they understand everything and then they move on.
Right.
But I suggest my student 4 times. First time to understand the meaning. If it's a TV show, you just watch it with the English subtitle. Make sure you understand everything, the story. The second time have to study again with the Chinese subtitle and make sure you stop for all the sentence, all the different new vocabularies, make sure you understand the meaning of the vocabularies. And the third time, you watch from the beginning to the end with the Chinese subtitle. And the fourth time, no subtitle. When there's no subtitle and you already understand everything, you are starting to pay attention to the intonations, the rhythms. So in that way, the students can already know the context. The student know which piece of information in a sentence to need stress or highlight. So like what you said, 鹦鹉学舌, to imitate until you get the idea how native speaker speaks.
Right. 鹦鹉学舌 is like parroting, right? Just to copy exactly, to imitate what the speaker is saying.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an amazing technique. I use it all the time. And I always recommend to repeat so many times because the repetition is where you really drill it in and you really consolidate, I think, the knowledge.
Yes. But in online class, I value high efficiency, so I don't do this with students in class. I prefer they do this by themselves because it's very time consuming.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I find that too. Like, even if you speak, like you said, all the words like very clearly or perfect pinyin, like. If the whole sentence, it doesn't sound like, if there isn't a rhythm to it, then yeah, it can sound a little bit weird because I feel like Mandarin Chinese is a very rhythmic language. Like it really relies on the correct rhythm, like the intonation up and down. Yeah, it's very difficult.
And also the Chinese learners, when they study, they are focused on understand the meaning of the paragraph, and then once they understand the meaning on the textbook, maybe they just move on to the next lesson. So I think it's time during the process stop to do this process to imitate paralysing, right? What do you say?
Parroting.
Parroting.
Yeah, we say parroting because parrot is the 鹦鹉. It's the
parroting.
Parroting.
Yes.
Yeah. So. Do you think that having a good Chinese accent is really important? Like, I mean, I think to a certain extent it's important because you need to be able to understand it. But I guess how much of your time do you spend on with your students, like fixing maybe accents for you?
It really depends on, because I only do one-to-one class online. So it really depends on the students' needs. If they bring up that they want to focus on the pronunciation, then we do that. Otherwise, because it's not like I teach class in a classroom. The students, I need to focus on what the students really want to learn.
Right. Yeah. But I think, I totally understand. I think a lot of people, I've heard feedback that a lot of people are maybe worried about their accent, or do you think that people maybe focus too much on accents? Like they worry like what other people think about their accent, or
Yes,
a little bit
yes,
too much?
yes. It's really depends. If someone living abroad, I think what he or she will see the most is the standard accent, the standard Mandarin on TV. So in that case, I think it's good to learn the standard Mandarin. But if the students living in China, living in Tianjin, Beijing, or Sichuan, then it's better just to learn the local way.
Right, right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, accents are so interesting. I only recently realized that the Beijing accent and the standard accent is different. I always thought the Beijing accent was the same as the standard accent because I thought it came from Beijing, so I thought it was the same. But I guess there's a little different.
Mandarin based on the Beijing accent, but the Beijing accent is more dramatic.
More dramatic, yeah.
Like it's everyone think that is Beijing accent. It's not exactly right because in northern China we all say 去哪儿,去哪儿. Beijing accent is more dramatic. 去哪儿? It's the is more highlighted, but doesn't mean the is just the Beijing accent. We use a lot.
And you said in the other live stream that there's a lot more like silent sounds, right? Like the
it's a neutral tone. Yes.
Neutral tone, yeah.
Yes, because on the dictionary maybe they say 先生, but in daily life we say 先生. 先生.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. 对.
So this is something.
没关系.
Yeah, 没关系. Yeah. So this is something that you probably, if you want to learn it, you have to go to Beijing to speak.
Yeah, it's really depends. If you go to Taiwan, then there's just no need to put that much highlight on the neutral tone.
Right.
I think it's more less neutral tone in Taiwan accent, I think.
Right. So I have another subscriber question. This one's a little tricky. I don't know if maybe you can try to tackle it. It's from Voss. They asked, how can we train our brain to pay attention to tones? How can we learn to see the difference in rational meaning instead of emotional meaning? Okay, maybe I'll just describe a little bit more because that sounds a little tricky. Because what I mean is that in non-phonetic languages, a difference in tone usually adds to the emotional meaning. For instance, emphasizing on a word in some cases make something sound exciting. A difference in tone can make up for a completely different and unrelated word, so the change of meaning happens on more a rational and memory-related level. They're asking, do they need to pay attention to sound on a whole different way, and is there a way or insight to make this brain switch easier? It's kind of a very deep question. I don't know if you understand what...
I'm not sure I 100% understand it, but he mentioned about the rational emotional thing. I think which is a very genius question because this person is paying attention to the context, not just the one sentence. Because same sentence, exactly the same words in different contexts can mean different thing. So for example, like 昨天你做了什么? What did you do yesterday? I'm just trying to collecting information, right? To have a normal conversation. What did you do? But if I knew that, okay, yesterday you went out, you had a date with a girl somewhere, and now I want to know, what did you guys do? 昨天你们做了什么? So then there's there's a different, right? The other one, the pitch range is the first one pitch range is very narrow, and the other one is more it's more more broad.
It's more broad.
So my point is to pay attention to the key information you want to highlight, and then in that case, you can be more emotional. It really depends on the context, the meaning.
Right. Yeah, this is a very tricky question. I think this is one of those questions that I think really it's like you learn intuitively. I don't know. This is from my perspective. I think you learn intuitive as you soak up the language, as you immerse yourself, as you learn, as you speak and listen to the language more. You'll slowly like learn about the emotion of the language. It's very hard to teach. I think like through a textbook.
Yeah, from textbook, just 昨天你做了什么 But if I want to emphasize, what did what did you do yesterday, not other people 昨天你做了什么 Then it's the third way or fourth way, fifth way to say the same sentence.
Yeah, exactly. It's very tricky. Well, that's what makes Mandarin Chinese so interesting to learn.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm just curious. You probably I'm not sure if you only teach English speakers or if you teach other native speakers Chinese as well.
Also Spanish native speaker.
Spanish.
So,
okay.
Yes.
So I'm curious.
Only 2 languages I can speak.
Oh, okay. I'm curious. Like, do you notice any difficulty, like differences in like difficulty between English learners versus Spanish learners?
I think English learners sometimes will think in English, not in Chinese Mandarin. For all the languages, no matter Spanish speaker or English speaker, then it will have some trouble when they create the sentences because they rely too much on their mother tongue. So, for example, like Chinese is a really context-based language. So when we say a sentence, we say the context, the time, the location, the people, and then we say what the people do at that place, that time with that person. But in English, it will say this action first, and then the time, location, and with someone. So I think this is the difficult part to teach Chinese because really need to let the student think in the Chinese way.
Right. That's really tricky. Right now, like I sometimes translate in my head from English to Chinese.
And some words is hard to translate in English, like a 缘分. On dictionary, it's a fate, destiny, but it's not exactly the same.
Right. Yeah. It's such a difficult feeling. It's more of languages are a feeling. It's like it's so hard to describe.
Sometimes it's really need a lot of examples to explain certain words. But many students will ask me, teacher, can you, I need the translation in English or in Spanish for me to understand everything better. But I told them that this word, you cannot find the perfect translation. I give you examples. So that's the tricky part.
Right. And then I'm curious. So there's some people in the language learning space that say that, for example, when you start learning a language, for example, like Chinese, which might be very different than English, that they recommend maybe you shouldn't speak right away. Maybe you should, wait 1 year before you start to speak, because maybe you might make mistakes or you don't know if you're speaking properly and you might build bad habits. But then some people think that it's fine, it's okay, you can start speaking, maybe it'll give you more motivation. Like, do you have any opinion on that?
Yes, it also depends on the student's level. If the student is a total beginner or elementary level, I don't suggest students to do a conversation with a lot of interactions, like a question, answer, because the real world is a little bit brutal. So the students will feel very frustrated when it's
Right.
hard to understand anything, or people don't understand what he or she says. So I suggest the total beginner just to give more instructions, like 师傅左拐，师傅右拐，
Okay.
服务员点菜啊，服务员有菜单吗？So maybe something more instruction or command. So when the people do what as this student wished for, the student will have more confidence because people understands them. But for the intermediate student, I suggest just to don't be scared. Say as much as possible I have a student who talk to me every day.
Wow.
And he's driving. He's in Philadelphia. He every morning it takes him 1 hour to drive from home to work. And he just talk with me on the phone. And in the beginning, he can hardly make a sentence. He made mistakes, 3 mistakes in one sentence.
Wow.
But now he can say everything fluently without a problem.
Wow.
So just don't be scared and try to practice.
Right, exactly. Don't be scared. A lot easier said than done, but really, really don't be scared, because you have to make those mistakes. And when you make the mistake, then you improve. Yeah, you learn from your mistake.
Yes.
Okay, so I think this is one of our final questions. I'm just curious, like there's a lot of material out there for maybe beginners, but curious for like intermediate and more advanced learners. Do you recommend any like TVs or resources or books or movies that you like, or something?
There is one website I'm watching every day. It's like a Chinese. It's not a Netflix. It's a similar website, but it's free. Maybe some countries need a VPN. It's called ifsp.tv.
Okay, interesting. I didn't know this. I'll put this in the link or in the description below.
I will copy paste for you.
This
website you can see the latest Chinese shows, TV shows, series, movies, and and also they have this bullet screen. You can see how overseas Chinese commenting on the same scene that you see with them.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. I remember you made a video about the bullet screen and the slang.
Yes.
That was a really good video.
I learned all the newest internet slang from this site too. It's
interesting. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Oh, I'm excited to check it out.
And usually the movies is better because the latest movies, they all have the Chinese and the English subtitle. But if it's a TV series, then no subtitle.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. So do you have any recommendations for TV shows or movies?
I suggest to watch the newest one, because after you watch it, you can always chat with your Chinese friends. For example, the newest one called 爱很美味。
爱很美味。
爱很美味 Love is yummy.
Okay. Oh, great. Sounds awesome.
This one is it's very fast pace, and it's stories about 3 girls, and in the in the big cities, the modern life. And it's a comedy. It's a TV series, but a comedy, and it's talk about a lot about it's happened in the pandemic. So they talk everything, and the daily life they show you is a really real time. So you can learn the newest vocabularies in China right now.
Wow, interesting. Okay, I'm gonna check it out. That sounds really interesting.
And it's about the everyday life, so the vocabularies should be like intermediate, higher intermediate, so it's good.
And it's probably a little bit about love, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And they try to imitate the American series pace. So each episode you will feel many dramas in one episode. So
interesting.
Quite interesting to watch.
Interesting. Okay, I can't wait. Wow. Okay. Thanks. Wow. We've already been talking for almost an hour. Wow. Thanks, Ben.
Great.
Ben 老师. Do you have anything else that you want to share or share with the audience or anything else?
I just want everyone try to be not scared and just practice and try watch Daniel's YouTube channel. There are many good contents about learning Chinese.
Okay,
I enjoy it a lot.
Okay, I'll pay you after this interview.
Great. I write this down on my note.
Okay, I was joking. No, I think everyone should check out Ben 老师's channel. Very wealth of information, and also I think you regularly do live streams, so I think we should watch out for that. I think you're going to start maybe doing more, but I know you do a lot with Richard Li Cha 老师. So
yes, on his channel every Thursday, people can see me there.
You're regularly every Thursday. Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna check those out more. So thank you. I'll put your link and your YouTube channel and your Instagram in the description below.
Okay. Thank you, Daniel.
No problem. All right. Thanks, Ben.
Yes.
Okay. See you.
Great. 谢谢大家。
谢谢，拜拜。